Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Kramer. Today I'm going to talk about passing refs to functional components in React Native. First, I will show you how this works with React core components, and then I will demonstrate how to pass refs to custom functional components. Alright, here I have an example of passing a ref to a React core component using the core component text input. Here is my useRef variable, which is named email ref. I am passing the ref through to the text input component by using the ref prop. I also have two buttons, and on button press, I have set up my ref to focus or unfocus on the text input. I will just run this app now so we can see how it works. We can see that this is working. The ref is correctly passed as a prop, and when I click one of the buttons, my text input becomes either focused or unfocused. Now let's try to do the same, but replacing our core text input with a custom functional component. Here I have created a custom functional component called email input. It is a text input with some specific styles and props with the purpose of retrieving an email address. I have a prop called rev, which I then pass to the child text input component. Okay, now I go back to the app component, I switch the text input with my custom email input component, and I rerun the app. Okay, so I have just rerun the app. It's mostly the same, just that our text field has a little more style to it from our custom email input component. I'm clicking on the focus button, but as we can see, it's no longer focusing on the input box. We also have this warning message that we can take a look at the bottom. Function components cannot be given refs. Attempts to access this ref will fail. Did you mean to use react.forwardRef? There's also another warning message, and if I click this back button, I can view the first one. It's a bit small, so I'll try clicking see more. Here we go. Email input ref is not a prop. Trying to access it will result in undefined being returned. If you need to access the same value within the child component, you should pass it as a different prop. So why is it working correctly when we use a core React component, but not when we use a custom functional component? By default, we cannot use the ref prop on functional components because unlike classes, they don't have instances. We also cannot use by default the keyword rev, as it is a reserved keyword. Since rev is a reserved keyword for a feature that functional components do not implement, passing a rev prop to a functional component will not do anything. The rev value will be ignored. Okay, let's just take a quick look at the problem here. So here again, I have my email ref, which I then pass to my email input component using the ref prop. If we take a quick look at my email input component, and what I want to do is just print out the ref value, which I'll need to create a useEffect hook, so when our component is first rendered, the ref value will be printed, and we can see if anything is being passed. So I'll just add a useEffect hook here and print out the ref prop, and I'll just rerun the app. Okay, so here's my app that restarted. In the left corner, I have my terminal, and we can see the printed ref value. So here, our ref value is printed as undefined. What is happening here is React did not pass our ref prop. React will not pass a ref prop at all to a custom functional component. As I mentioned before, rev is not really a normal prop. It is a reserved keyword in React for a feature that functional components do not implement. This results in React ignoring the rev keyword for our functional component. Okay, now that we have seen the trouble with refs, there are two solutions as mentioned in the error messages. The first way is using react.forwardRef, and the second is using a different prop name. I will talk about both solutions and at the end give a short comparison of each one. The first solution is using react.forwardRef. If we want to use the ref keyword, we must explicitly tell React that we are going to forward this ref onwards to a component that can handle it. Our functional components don't take refs, but we can forward them into a React core component that does. We do this by using forward.Ref. Forward.Ref is a method that allows components to pass down or forward refs to their children. To implement react.forwardRef, we first wrap our entire component in the function react.forwardRef. In doing so, it gives our component access to a new parameter named rev. We can then forward this new rev parameter to any child component. Okay, so I will now demonstrate this on our email input component. First, I wrap my entire component in react.forwardRef. ForwardRef gives us the new parameter rev, which we will then have to add. And be aware that here is only one parameter, the props parameter, which I have deconstructed. Rev is no longer part of props, but its own parameter. So I have to move ref out of the props and into its own parameter called rev. I also now have to change the type to forward.Ref. In our text input child component of email input, we then make sure to correctly pass the ref, which we are already doing. Okay, I'll now rerun the app and it should be working. Okay, set focus, unfocus. Set focus and unfocus are now working with react.forwardRef. So what this is doing, we are creating a ref in our parent, our app.js, passing the ref to our email input, which now has a new ref parameter. Since we have implemented forward.Ref, this tells React we are not going to use the reference here, but we are going to forward it to one of our children, which can handle the ref, which we do so in our text input child component. Solution 2 is renaming the ref prop of our email input component. This second option is slightly less complex as we pass our ref as a prop with any name but ref. Example, we could use email ref. As we know the ref keyword gets ignored by React, we can instead use another name. Okay, so in our code we have our email ref, and what I'm going to do is in our email input child is change the prop name. So our prop name now is rev. I'm going to change rev to email rev. And I'm going to make these same changes in my email input component. So up here where I see rev, I change it to email rev. And with email rev, we have to make sure to pass it to our text input child component. So here rev equals email rev. And I'll just save that and run the app again. Okay, so here's my app again. Yep, and it's working fine. This is working because we are no longer using the keyword which React was ignoring. Instead, we are now using another name that is not a keyword and passing our value as a prop. Okay, now let's compare these two solutions. Solution 2 is almost the same as forward.Ref, and you can argue that it is even a little bit more simpler. The only disadvantage is that you cannot use the ref keyword. It will also work if you want to pass more than one ref. You can simply pass the multiple refs under different prop names. Though, this could also be done with forward.Ref using the use imperative handle hook, which I won't be discussing in this video. There are a few cases where you would want to maintain the usage of the ref keyword. In these cases, you would want to go with forward.Ref. Some examples of these cases are refactoring classes and creating libraries. Since React is moving more and more towards functional components and hooks, you may be wanting to refactor your old class components into functional components. This is a good case where you'd want to use forward.Ref. Using forward.Ref will allow you to maintain the usage of the keyword ref, meaning you are unlikely to need to change any other code to get your component to work. If you now had to use a different prop name for your ref, you would then be required to change any parent components that are passing this prop to your component, which isn't ideal. It's always best to make as few unnecessary changes as possible to existing code. If you are creating a library, you may also want to use forward.Ref. This would make your API more predictable when another programmer is working with your library. Imagine with the email example, without forward.Ref, another programmer would have to be aware that they must pass the reference with a prop named email ref, whereas it would be more obvious to use ref, as that is what is commonly seen in React. Thanks for watching. I hope this video was able to help you. I am hoping to create more and improve. Please like and give me a sub. If you also have any suggestions or problems in React Native, please leave a comment and I can try to make a video about it. See you next time.